You see, I'm going red here.
Why? Yeah, I know this is very, very stressful.
Have you
Right.
started recording?
No.
Okay, I'm doing that.
Ooh, this is like the thinking
Just gonna
face.
take.
It has like a tiny bit of a frown up top, and you look at your screen, and you're like,
Excuse me.
mm.
I'm gonna have to control that while we're recording. Okay, well, hi. My name is
L'chaim.
Bronwyn.
Hello, Bronwyn.
This is so weird introducing myself to you. Getting back to the point, composing myself a second time. So, welcome to our podcast. It's called The Creative Den. And I'm Bronwyn Craddock. Whoop whoop. That's Ben.
Shalom. Hello.
You're not Jewish, but okay.
I'm not, but I felt it was like eloquent.
This is you being nervous now. So this podcast is basically aimed at exploring creative processes of our brains. And yeah, I mean, we just kind of gonna be talking, trying to entertain you guys, attempting to be funny.
And basically also give like insights into the creative struggles that creatives
Oh, that's a good one.
might
Yeah, that's
thanks
a good one.
that creatives like might have. It's difficult to constantly come up with stuff that's like relevant, and I feel like talking about it and openly talking about it might spark a inspiration, but also like an urge to maybe create something as well, and sort of like move you forward on your creation journey.
So profound.
Right? I really thought
No,
about
but
this for
actually,
so long.
really,
No.
have you written it down like
No.
as a speech? I've got a full-on journal in front of me, but I like baffle my words. So
And that is how we're different. Which might also be why we
that's also
synergize so
another
well.
topic.
Yes.
That is also quite true, because I bring like the very listy, very organized, very like, okay, this is what we should do, this is what we shouldn't do, and you're like, but really, why? And then that kind of I feel like that sparks a lot of creativity, because think about our thumbnail last night. I was like, oh no, but I need to make it neat. I need to like put pretty hair and pretty makeup and blah blah blah. And you're like, just leave it as it is. Looks cool.
You are.
And I was like, yeah.
When you sent me that thumbnail, well, first of all, I didn't actually know it was supposed to be a thumbnail. You just sent it to me, and I was like, assuming it would be a thumbnail, and then looked at it, and straight away I was like, yo, this is really authentic. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether or how long it took. Well, we spoke about it for like ever, like the layouts. We did
Yeah.
the trials with like the memojis, etc. But when you sent it to me, and I was literally just lying on the couch watching TV yesterday when you sent it to me, I was like, wow, this reflects exactly what we're trying to do. And it also shows the process behind what we're doing. That nothing is ever going to be like perfect, square, and neat and professionally done in order to get
And that's
like
totally okay.
yes, and in order to get to a professional outcome, you never really see what's behind it, which is the intent of what we're doing right now, right?
That is very true. I've just realized we haven't, out of all of this, said our actual brand name.
Yes, no, you have. You did
I
say.
haven't said Barefeet and hats. Rewind.
Yeah, for sure.
So Ben and I have kind of pushed a brand out there. It's called Barefeet and Hats, and we kind of want to explore the combination between audio and visual, and the creativity that can come from both, and both minds like intertwined into one. Although it wasn't my idea, it was your idea. How did you come up with Barefeet and Hats, the name? Because I've just kind of been like a little add-on.
Well, like before I actually answer it, well, yes, it was my initial idea, but as you quite rightly said, you put like the order and structure to it. So like before,
I was like, if you're gonna have a social media page, you have to post on the social media page.
yeah, exactly. And like before you actually joined, which is another topic by itself, because you never like officially said, okay, I want to be part of this. Like you kind of just like slid into it, and you were like, okay, let's just do
Slid
it
into
together,
it.
right? Or am I wrong?
Sorry, did I push myself into the
No, no, no,
band?
no, no, not at all, not at all. Like it was my intention to like accomplish that, but like we
But
never,
like slowly and subtly.
yeah, but like we never actually officially spoke about it. I just noticed.
Are you gonna give me some legal contract to sign?
Yeah, nah. How I came up with a name? That's a good question. It actually took quite a while. The connection to media has been like like an extensive one. Like I've always been attracted to media when I was young,
Mm,
playing like computer games, going on YouTube, looking at videos all night. Then Instagram was a
mm,
big thing. Actually, my journey with Barefeet and Hats started when I started creating my own music, which only started after Africa Burn, actually, or after I went to Africa Burn. So obviously, I've had like experience with playing piano, music theory. I've come into contact with that a lot as well while studying it. But after I went to Africa Burn for the first time and heard some of the artists there, the music inspired me that much that I obviously started listening to it non-stop and started pushing each of those songs onto all of my friends and be like, you got to listen to this really good, to this stuff.
yeah.
Excuse me.
I
No, no, no,
understood.
no, no.
Like,
No swearing. No swearing.
I'll it out.
Okay.
Fine.
And obviously pushing like all the songs to like friends, and they really liked the style. And then a mate of mine back then, once like we drove in the car, was like, dude, why don't you just try and make something like this yourself? And
So you hadn't made any electronic music before that?
no, like I've always done like tiny little bits here and there for like, I don't know, school plays or something. So that was only like
Like
editing a little bit
here's
here.
a jingle
Yeah,
for
like
the
ex-
grade threes.
exactly, but never something like really extensive and like into depth. And the actual name came along as you came along, because before it was just Barefeet, and then I thought, okay, cool,
Oh yeah,
I
I
wanna,
forgot. It was just bare feet.
yes, and I thought, okay, I want to have a team, or I want to have like a partner to make up the team. But
Mm,
Barefeet, yeah, you can say cool. There's like 2 feet, but it doesn't really resonate properly. And then I thought, okay, what
mm,
else is there that shows my personality or resonates with me that people associate me with? And whenever I go out partying with mates,
hat.
always wear the hats. Voila, Barefeet and hats.
Brand personified.
Right? Yeah, and I think it kind of stands for like a lifestyle as well.
The nature of your sound that you produce, the first thing that you think of is just taking off your shoes and just kind of like feeling those, just kind of be like,
Yeah.
woo.
So I do think it kind of represents like a lifestyle, because I mean, try to think about environments where you can be barefooted and wear a hat at the same time. Like, what would those be? It will definitely not be wherever it's cold. like,
No cold.
like no, doesn't vibe. That's also sort of the motivation behind the music, to create something that sparks that feeling within listeners.
What is the first thing that you want to do? Is it to find that perfect like melody, or is it to find the perfect instrument or like structure of the song?
You also know that like it rarely ever happens that you sit down at the computer and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna create something, and like boom, ideas come. Yeah, like it never ever happens.
Yeah.
So usually it's when I listen to other people's music, I get inspired, or I hear some certain sound and I'm like, ooh, that sounded really like, I don't know, like a cool kick drum, or this could be used in a really cool way, like XYZ. First of all, obviously, I need an instrument that kind of reflects what I heard and that represents what I intend listeners to feel when they hear it, and
Mhm.
then try to
Mhm.
come up with the melody itself behind it.
And often that concept changes quite a
Yes.
lot.
But same question back to you though. Where does your inspiration come from?
For videos and what part of my life?
Well, obviously, like video content. Like, I mean, we clearly like we talk about each project that we do like
Yeah.
intensively beforehand, but you're still the one, as I keep saying, whenever someone writes us, like on Instagram, for example.
Bronwyn, deal with it.
Yeah, well, like, please do the PR stuff. Like, I can't. I don't know whether you saw on our Instagram. Someone asked us like where we're from and who does what, and I was like, well,
Oh,
you're the one that puts the magic to the music because music's cool in itself and it touches people. But the thing is, and I mean, this debate's been going on forever. Would you rather be deaf or blind, right? I mean, putting a visual on top of that music just adds like this whole new dimension, this whole new like universe of possibilities.
I'm just trying to answer that question, and that really intensified my brain right now. No insensitivity to those who are blind or deaf.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be a question to you whether you want to be deaf or
I
blind.
know, but you just mentioned it, and then my brain was like. That is a very, very tough question to answer because, for those of you who don't know who are watching, I'm also mainly a dancer. For me, music is very important to that aspect of my life, whereas like photography is completely visual. You've got to almost translate your audio and translate your narrative into that visual. And videography is kind of a combination of the two.
Yeah, so you couldn't afford to lose either of them.
No.
Well, fingers crossed
don't
we don't.
Put that, oh.
Still, you haven't answered. Yeah, moving on quickly. Like, whoop out the next question. No, but you still haven't answered the original one, where your inspiration comes from. And actually, before I ask that question, what made you want to join me on this like journey?
I've always found music videos and videography interesting, but I've never had the opportunity to kind of be like, okay, this is a song that's being created for a video. Does that make sense? So like we have the opportunity and the flexibility to be like, okay, I've got this really cool video idea, and then you'd be like, okay, cool, let's incorporate some of that sound into the actual music piece. And by having that kind of like collaboration back and forth is so good for the song because you already like visualize a feeling, visualize a picture, and it's so good for the video because like the music just kind of links with the video automatically. So yeah, I don't know if you've ever thought about that.
No, like literally for a second I was like, that's a good approach. Like
all of the videography work that I've done before, I've put to other people's music. And like for me, for videography especially, it's so important to be musical. Like sometimes I watch videos and I'm like, but they didn't change this on the beat. They didn't do this on the beat. And like the music tells a completely different story to the video. I've always found the idea of like, okay, this song I know back to front. I know when this is going to happen. I know why this is going to happen. And I can create a video according to that vision. I just realized my shadow is like without my hand being there. It's like right over there.
Mystical.
That's a cool video idea. You see, this is how we come up with video ideas.
Yeah, but then you would have to only film the shadow though, or only show like bits.
Challenge accepted.
Or only show like bits of you and then basically the rest of the shadow, and then the whole video could be like puzzling you together as a personality through the visuals of your shadow.
Oh, that's cool. What does a shadow say about your personality? Because shadow only expresses shape, size, movement.
Yes.
It doesn't express any sort of emotion. So if you had like, if you were
just
like
a face,
a complete,
yeah,
if you were just a complete shadow, then how would you express yourself without using your face?
Is that a question to me? No. I guess is in some way dance, but even if you see dancers on stage, I don't want to say they pull faces, but the expression that they're dancing or trying to express through their dance, you can always see on their face. Like if it's an angry scene, they're like,
sometimes it's a little bit too much, and that also comes down to like genuine expression versus like forced expression. And it irritates me when I see someone like go into a jeté and they're like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, no.
instead of like
this put on smile, this like constant,
Not that you
non-stop
even know what a
smile. Was
jete
like,
is, but
yeah, I don't know what that is either, but it's fine. Doesn't
take
matter.
a guess. Take a wild guess.
What's it called again?
Jete.
Jeté. Jeté. Sounds like a piece of clothing, like lingerie sort of vibe, but it's probably not. Is it like the last pose you strike at the end of a dance? Nailed it.
It's a jump. You should know that because
A
you kind
jump.
of speak French. Throw.
Nah.
It means to throw.
No, never heard it. Do you have like jetés throughout the piece, or do you just have it at the end of the piece?
Well, it depends on the choreography.
Because if it was only at the end of the piece, I would be right
You're
by saying
wrong.
it's the final pose you strike. Le
Ending.
finalement something something.
Finale.
Finale. Yeah, I like that.
Well,
That's
there is something like that. You have a finale, but like that's a whole piece. That's a whole choreo. Okay, we're not speaking about dancing. Why are we speaking about dancing? What we didn't mention at the beginning of the video was we wanted to go through what, when, how, who, why, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to summarize.
okay.
People probably watching this, they're like, I'm so confused.
What are they talking
This
about?
is what creative brains
Like-
go. Like, we go one direction. So what? We are a business. I'm going to call ourselves a business because we're working really hard on this. Of audio and visual production.
And hopefully close at some point. We
Hopefully
don't know
close
yet.
at some point. That is true. But we need to be really popular for that first.
If we, I don't know.
Okay, no, we're getting sidetracked.
Yes, okay. Yeah, keep going. When? Let's go with time. When?
When?
Oh boy. Well,
Okay,
so
should we just describe our little like meeting first, or Barefeet and hats?
well, how the two of us met, we can do that. But I feel like you put
Okay.
more like emotions into it, or express more
Okay,
emotions.
how did we meet? Go for it.
On the beach. Yeah. No,
Okay,
actually, it's
we
really
met on the
embarrassing.
beach.
But no, it's not embarrassing. It's a tad embarrassing. We were in Cape Town, or I was in Cape Town. I was at the beach. I think it was Clifton. Can't remember. But somewhere in Camps Bay area. And
Clifton.
it was Clifton, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was there with a couple of friends who have their own thing going into in the slackline industry, and they asked me to play a set on the beach just for like a tiny group of people. Oh, and it was a Red Bull collaboration.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was. That's also important because my contact was a Red Bull person.
I knew it. So yeah, I think the first time we spoke, I was still slacklining, so I was doing my thing, and then this chick just rocked up, and she was like, "Yo, I really like your style," and I was like, "Thanks." Didn't really know what to say. Like, I didn't say I like your
Yeah,
style
you
too,
were just
because that would have been
like thanks, okay, and then you went back to your text.
yeah. I was like,
Oh my
bye. Like, speech. So we didn't actually speak that much, right? So
No, we didn't.
and
No.
then at some point, this chick, you, approached me again and literally just said, "Give me your phone." And I was like, a tad suspicious, obviously. I was like, "Okay, like, here you go." And you just put in your phone number and said, "Call me when you're free." And I was.
Okay, at this point, I did not know you were going back to Germany.
That's true, but I was smacked
Which
off my
was
feet
another
because
thing.
it's never ever happened to me ever that a girl came up to me and said, "Here's my number, give me a call." I was like, "Ah, okay."
What is happening?
Yeah. So, yeah, did I leave any details out?
No, actually, I'm so impressed.
Right?
Oh, actually, no. A detail of my side was that I was so close not to coming to the beach because I had just arrived in Cape Town from Joburg because I was moving to Cape Town, and the dude that picked me up who was working for Red Bull, he was like, "Do you want to come to a beach party?" I was like, "Sweet, okay." What a Cape Townian way to start the day. And yeah, I was very close not to coming because I had all of my luggage in the car, and it was a mission, and I traveled, but I'm glad I went.
But it was worth the mission, clearly.
It was. No, it was. It was. So that's how we met. And then,
Nailed it.
literally, I'm so proud.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
And then a week later, you
I had to go back to Germany to start
went back
working.
to Germany
Yeah.
and
But
be an adult.
yeah, to try to be an adult, or at least on the outside an adult, and on the inside still a child.
A screaming
A
child.
screaming child, yeah. But then when did we create Barefeet and Hats as it is now? Because it was, as I said earlier, like it was more like a, I don't want to say creeping process because that's like a bad thing, but it was like a silent process that all of a sudden
Yeah.
both of us were on board and we were like doing this together.
Because I remember Devil's Boogie was the first song that we kind of made together.
Yeah.
And that
No,
was kind of mid
wait.
last year.
Hold
What?
on. That was actually the first time because, you know, I'm actually really shy, right? So, especially
Yeah.
about the stuff.
Which I didn't know. I
No,
didn't know after
but
the
about
first
the
6 months.
stuff
And you're
that
like,
I,
oh, I'm actually an introvert. I was like, huh?
yeah, about the stuff that I create, I'm like really shy. Like, I don't show people necessarily. And you were like, no, show me what you did. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, here's a song. And you were like, this is really good. You should definitely upload it. Now you can keep talking.
I completely forgot that I'm the reason that your music is actually on SoundCloud
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, true. Or that my music's anywhere.
There was a time where you were like, oh, like I really don't want to upload it because like, you know, a lot of the people that I've shown don't like it, and what if this and what if that.
Mm.
And I feel like what really kind of started the momentum of music and creation was actually just being like, you know what, stuff it. I was about to swear, but I didn't.
Great save.
Stuff it, let's just post it. And I feel like that's also another thing that we could possibly talk about in one of our podcasts, in our future one, is the fear of actually posting original content. And it's real because you're scared of so much criticism. I'm not saying you, just you. I'm
No, no,
saying
no,
like
no. I'm
in general.
yeah. I would even
Yeah, in
boil it
general.
down to like fear of rejection.
Mm.
Because it's not necessarily that you don't want to share your content, but it's more like you put in, obviously as you like progress, like writing a song
Yeah.
doesn't take that much time anymore. But back then, like writing that piece took me like 4 weeks, like of constantly sitting at it and like working on it. And even if I compare it to like stuff that I did now, you can still hear that I didn't know what I was doing really, like in terms of like the mastering and the levels, etc. The fear of publishing your content will always be present. Like even if you unknowingly write a banger, you'll if you listen to your own songs, you'll always think your
Yeah.
songs rock.
It's that self-critic going, bah, 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 bah.
Yes, but still, like you think, oh, the song's so sick, but there's still this hesitation of actually showing it. So you definitely pushed me and us towards this, like, do it, like just give it a try sort of mindset.
Well, I'm glad we are where we are right now, because I think it goes for the same with you. Like, I mean, I'm always sending you little snippets of the videos that I've created, and I'm like, oh, I really don't like this, and I don't like this, and you're always like, huh?
This is so dope.
And I'm like, really? So yeah, it goes both ways. Definitely goes both ways. Okay, we got sidetracked yet again. We
Yeah.
answered who?
We
What?
answered who, what, when. No, when we haven't
When?
answered. That's where we got sidetracked.
have.
No,
Oh,
when did
that's
we
where we got
actually like form
Okay,
Barefeet
so
and Hats?
we met beginning of last year, and then we started creating, kind of faded out a little bit, and then this year Jan was, I think, both of us, we were like, let's just do it, let's make a thing out of it. I think we started getting like confident about our abilities, and we were like, you know what, let's just have fun with it, let's just have
See
a
where
good
it
process,
takes.
let's see
Yeah.
where it goes. Yeah.
And
Beginning
literally
of this
treat
year.
it as a creative den as well, which is also the origin of
Yeah.
this. To kind of
And which is the point of this, is to, like, we're still in our own creative processes of finding what we like and finding what genres we like and finding what style we are. And I feel like it's important to share that, because I think a lot of people only show the finished product and they're like, this is what it's like been, it's been so great, it's blah blah blah, but it's actually not that great sometimes.
Yeah, true. Like they show off the polished thing, whereas it's actually quite
Exactly.
interesting to see, like, or at least from a creative point of view. Like I
Yeah.
also watch behind the scenes of movies, and I think it's crazy interesting. Most of the time, it makes the movie really disappointing. Because in the movie, like in the
Oh,
movie,
stop trying
there's
to get
like
that effect.
bam and like massive explosions and like airplanes crashing, and then you see the making of, and they're actually just standing in a green box, which is like 9 square meters, and
And
there's
they
like,
like have like
and you're
a
like,
string on their back and they just fall.
yeah, it's like Titanic, right? Like good movie, okay movie, but like the in the movie when the ship sinks, it's this monstrosity of a boat that like goes up and breaks,
I haven't
right?
watched the behind the scenes, and Titanic is a really great movie for me. I don't know if you should spoil it for me.
For
Is it
sure.
all a green screen?
In the behind the scenes, it's just like a toy boat that they put in a tiny box of water, which then like through hydraulics was obviously lifted up and then broken into pieces and then animated through CGI.
I mean, that is quite smart. I mean, who
You
would have the
can't.
budget to actually rent out a huge, massive boat?
Well, who would have the budget to sink it, and then before that, who would have the budget to rebuild the Titanic in its size, and then see you have enough people to fill the damn boat? Nah, nah.
I like Titanic though.
I also like.
It's a really girly movie. No, you wouldn't like it because it's really emotional. It's really like, oh, come on.
Are you saying I'm
Don't
not
look at me like that.
emotional?
Well, you're less emotional than I am. We've established that.
Well, that is true. I've never cried in a movie. Not
You've
because
never cried in front of me either, so.
that's true as well. But I've never cried in a movie, not because I don't want to. It's just it never happens.
It's like there are tears here
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's like I'm genuinely feeling shocked about what's happening, but it's dry land here. Like nothing's coming out. Same with books. When people are like, "Oh, books are so in depth," and they like transmit. First of all, I admire authors that can do that, that can transmit emotions
Yeah.
through written word.
But sometimes the problem is the reader, not the author.
Yes, at 100%. I feel nothing. I just read the pages. Well, I'm not a fan of reading in any case, but like I read the pages and I'm like,
Yeah, I was about to say, when did you actually try read a book?
"Bwah." I don't know when the last time was. Audiobooks are great if someone reads it to me.
But that's also another thing. Like you're an
Yeah,
visual, tangible learner,
true.
and that's totally okay as well. Like if you don't like reading, you don't like reading. That's totally okay.
True. Books always kind of not sucked for me, but like, I always looked at a book and I was like, this is tiny writing, still has 400 pages left. Like, oh Christ! Like, nah.
Okay, sidetracked.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't like books. I like books sometimes. Depends. I have my moods. Who, what, when, how do we create our stuff?
Well, kind of.
Which is the point of this podcast.
Yeah, you kind of asked me. Actually, you tell me now how you go about when I send you. Well, I mean, you're basically part of like the production process of the song in any case, because every couple of like minutes I send you a snippet of it. So once I send you like the final version of a track, how do you go about it?
I'm also like you. I'm like, I don't know if I don't sit down and I'm like, even me being a complete to-do list person, I don't actually have a list of what to do. I think because as we produce the song, we're like, oh, video idea, and then I quickly write the video idea down, and then, like for example, the video that we're working on now for our new song, COVID-19. Insert snippet here.
Yeah, sweet, perfect.
And I think what do you visualize? And I think when I heard COVID-19, I was like, okay, number one, coronavirus. Number two, beat, and number three, 19. So I was like, okay, well, how can I incorporate those three things into a video? And then we thought of the staircase, and then then with the staircase came the different dimensions. Then with the different dimensions came like the different angles, and like as I said to you, like there was ideas that I thought of while creating the video where I was like, I should have done this from the start, and then I completely like scratch everything I've done and go back from the beginning and start to create more of a narrative based, or that kind of thing. So it always changes actually.
But you do take, like, before you start your project, you always take notes down to kind
Yeah.
of give it a rough outline, right?
I can show you Kobe because it's basically changed.
Okay.
Because we initially had that idea of conquering fears,
Hmm.
and we wanted to actually, so we wanted to have a staircase and then this little mascot.
For whom we still don't
There
have
we
a
go.
name.
We still don't have a
Yeah.
name. We still need to think of a name. Denny, Creative Denny.
Denny? As in
No,
like DANN?
no,
No, that is like, it's a great
no,
name,
no.
but not for our
Okay,
mascot. Like,
sidetrack.
that's like
Okay,
calling him
so
Rudolph or yeah.
that's actually cute.
Rudolph could actually be quite cute, yeah. Anyways,
Rudolph. Okay, so we had the idea of conquering fear. So we wanted our little mascot to like constantly walk up the stairs and like conquer all of these fears. But then I realized that my animation skills are not that advanced. So I was like, okay, how can I make this video so that I can actually still make it, but I can still have this little mascot? So then the idea was like, okay, well, if I change the background, that would be more realistic to me to be able to pull off. So I think that's how I kind of changed ideas, is I went according to what I can do at the moment, which probably shouldn't, like, that
fair
probably
enough.
isn't the best way to go about it, because then
But I mean,
I could learn more. But
well, first of all, you're not gonna relate any like COVID-19 content in it, like
no,
coronavirus. Like we said up
no,
front, like no, we don't want to do that because A, like so many people did it. B, it's unoriginal, and C, like it doesn't really motivate you either if you see
yeah.
horrible things. Like it just puts you in a mood.
And don't get me wrong, this is like not us, shutting coronavirus. Like we
No.
know that it's a serious issue, but it's literally all over the place.
Yes, and there's more
Like,
qualified people to like talk about that topic.
and you want to kind of like create a break.
Yes. Also, which is why we're doing this track together with a video, to basically, well, first of all, give an uplifting feeling, because I mean, sitting at home by yourself the whole day, being quarantined, like, what the fuck, being quarantined like that,
Yeah.
that never ever
It,
crossed my
you you
mind.
wouldn't you wouldn't actually think that you'd be locked down
Yeah.
in your house right now, not being able to go outside. It's the most bizarre thought.
Yes, and that was basically why, like, not necessarily fears are created, but you have to deal with stuff that you usually don't like deal with. Like you're alone by yourself quite a lot. Yes, you can still talk to people. Yes, you can Skype, you can FaceTime, WhatsApp, whatever. But it's not the same as actually having a cup of coffee and a donut and sitting in front of it. So
Yeah, and even the simple thing of like the other day, I was working on some photos, and I just said to myself, I would love to have a change of scenery. I would love to
yeah,
just go out to the park, edit some photos there, or go to a coffee shop, edit some photos there,
yeah.
And you can't do that. And like the thought of that is just bizarre.
Well, it's daunting, rather. Yes,
Yeah.
but which is why we're doing what we're doing now to kind of like give this. When you see it, I've seen some of it already, obviously, but when you see it and hear it, it's supposed to give you this like feel of I can accomplish things. Like I feel good about myself. Like, yeah, who cares? I walk around in my jocks all day, but wear like a shirt with a
Like
collar.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Yeah, like who cares? Like everyone does it. You don't have to feel bad about it. Or even when you have a day where you do absolutely nothing and you just binge watch Netflix, and we have those days, both of us, and we call each
Oh.
other and we're like, yo, today we did absolutely nothing. We just,
I usually call in tears and I'm like,
yes,
I'm not accomplishing
yes.
anything.
I'm like a useless human being. I didn't do anything. I just rotted on my couch all day long.
But that is another thing we should talk about, is toxic productivity.
Toxic productivity.
It's this concept that has been going around all over my Facebook right now.
You need to give me
And
some
it's
insight to your Facebook. I just get weird stuff on Facebook.
Facebook doesn't really know you that well, or maybe it knows you quite well.
Do you have to repeat that? Literally, the internet cut out, and I did not hear a
Really?
single thing you just said.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna repeat that.
I don't look at weird
Okay, so
stuff. Anyways, yeah.
we getting sidetracked. Toxic, toxic productivity. I
That
feel like
one.
we should have called this like the sidetracked podcast. Like we keep our minds just going like this.
The Creative Den, being sidetracked.
Yeah. Okay,
Nailed
that is
it.
the name. I can see it right now. The thumbnail. Oh, I was like,
Okay,
the thumbnail, but I need to go this way.
Introduction while being sidetracked.
Sidetracked introduction. Side introduction. Tracked
An
introduction.
introduction
Side.
full of tracks on the side. Oh.
And that, friends, is how we came up with our name of this video. Creative Process 101.
101. If you have to put it into steps, how would you do it? Well, you call whoever on Skype and you just go.
You just talk.
Yeah.
Your creativity, especially our creativity process, like you just have to spew things out. Like you can't be afraid of like ideas or whatever, because from that like idea can come like an idea.
I mean, the ideas come at the weirdest of times. I mean, I've had times where you literally send me a tsunami of text messages at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just like, oh my god, I just had this idea. And I wake up in the morning, turn my phone on, and it just goes, like, grung, 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 just like 40 SMS, missed calls. I'm like, yeah.
But the thing is because I know that like you'll look at them, so it's almost like if I don't have my journal next to me in my like next to my bed, because I usually do have my journal next to my bed, but now that like life and the world is ending, like everything's all over the place for me, so I don't have my journal next to my bed. I have my phone, so I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to forget this 2 o'clock idea, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll definitely send it to you, notepad.
Yeah, well, I
Ben.
always use our WhatsApp chat as like my diary sort of journal sort of vibe whenever, because I know it's never going to be lost. Like even if I lose my phone,
because I know I have a backup.
Yes, you will have a backup, and it's somewhat backup to the cloud as well. So there's like double insurance on
so
my creative processes.
Because every time you get a new phone, you're like, please can you send me like all of our photos? And here I am looking at our media, and there's like 1,000 media.
1,000.
Like, did you not back up?
It's like, this will just take a brief day or so, but yeah, sure, I'll send them to you.
Let me just WeTransfer quickly. Oh goodness.
Okay, well, back to the W questions. Which ones have we got left?
What, why, who?
I don't even know how long
we haven't done why.
For.
Probably way too long.
Oh, that's fine. We'll do the editing.
Okay, before we carry on with the double question, I even have a designated, that's the word, a designated page for shower ideas. Ideas that
now
I get
this
in the shower.
is really interesting. Do share some of the ideas you get in the shower. Although I've heard that in the shower apparently you get like 90% of your sparkly ideas, not just you in general. Oh snap! So that was actually born under the shower.
That was a shower idea. Yep, that was a shower idea.
No, I'm like blown away by that, because literally you stand under the shower, you think about stuff. Maybe also because you just have like 5 to 10 minutes by yourself with like warm, trickly water on your back. But like you stand and you like,
actually think of nothing, and then you think of everything.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, something plops up.
Okay, what, when, how, who, why? I think we've answered all of the questions.
We have
what,
we answered
when,
why?
How, who, why, where? So. Why? Okay, well.
I don't think we have answered why. So why are we doing what we're doing?
Because we're bored.
Damn. Truthfully, not because we're bored. Maybe it started off as such, but like, yeah, no, not because we're bored.
I think we both realize the importance of being vulnerable to our audience
Mm,
and our viewers that are watching now.
mm.
um, I think we both realize the importance of sharing stuff like this, especially during a time like what we're going through now.
Okay, so let's cook it down. So why are we doing this? Saying to change the world would be like a little bit of a big statement, I would say,
Yeah,
but to touch people, right? Like their emotions, and to create a connection of relatability
that's yeah.
to
We
us.
have spoken about that before. Yeah, because
Because I mean,
we want to create like a
there
platform
is
where people
uh,
can be like questions, answers, like
yes,
connection,
because there's a
relatability.
1,000,005 brilliant musicians out there and videographers that are exactly in the same boat as we are. Maybe a
But
step
they never share their
before
process.
us, like they haven't actually started, or a step ahead of us, like they've got a good thing
Yeah.
for them going. But like every creative goes through this process of being unsure of like what's going to happen, of not knowing whether their
Mhm.
stuff's good enough, of
Mhm.
maybe not having anybody there to back their vision.
Mhm.
And I think we
Especially
could
during
literally
now
boil it.
when you're like sitting at home, and if
Yeah,
you're like living by yourself and you want to create some sort of music, but you're like, ugh, you want to be like,
yeah,
don't care
yeah.
about the
So
people around you.
I
Yeah.
think we could boil our vision down to trying to like connect with people and like
Mm.
yeah, just like docking onto their emotional state and providing like not
Yeah.
only comfort but obviously like fun as well. Um, yeah, and to give like maybe
And
hopefully
obviously
different
share. Yeah.
perspectives and spark inspirations for others.
Yeah. I mean,
Ooh,
if you were to boil down our vision like that, I mean, my brain is also kind of going like train tracks right now, thinking of all of the things that we want to achieve. Sometimes that also happens. It's like my brain, like I know my brain is thinking, but all is on the outside is this.
yeah, true. Like a standstill. It's basically like a computer. At the end you hear this like going, but the front end's always the same. You're like, yeah, nothing happening. No, I
um,
agree.
so I was totally interested with what you were saying, but my brain was processing everything that you were saying.
Snap. So you didn't actually hear what
Um,
I said.
no, I did, but
Okay.
I was
I was about to
processing
be
what you were
very
saying.
offended.
Sorry. No, we're sharing our connection and we're sharing our vulnerability and just kind of
Yeah.
like encouraging people to be like, you know what, just do it. But with that being said, it took us a very long time to do this right now.
Yes.
It's also totally okay to procrastinate. And I know you
Yeah.
would think otherwise, but I actually
Me.
think there's a lot of value in procrastination. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I love like it's like a love-hate relationship. Like I love
Yeah.
procrastinating, but as I procrastinate, I hate myself for doing it. And I'm like, shit, I should be doing something. Like do push-ups, go take out the trash. I don't know, come up with some musical idea. Nah, but then I sit there and I watch Netflix and watch like Rick and Morty for the 500th time, and I still laugh about the
Although,
jokes.
but that's like totally okay because maybe one day you're watching Rick and Morty and you're like, idea.
Maybe, maybe subconsciously I'm actually searching for an idea within the construct of Rick and Morty.
So, my Mac just gave me a low battery sign. That's not good.
I think you should also, by saying what you're gonna say now, we should also like do the outro.
The
You know what I
outro.
mean? Like
Okay, but let
initiate
me
our
let me
outro.
initiate the outro. And three, two,
Yeah.
one. um, I was just like thinking rockets.
True, yeah. It's like outro straight away. Your mind
Creative
goes like
brain.
rockets. It's like I wouldn't necessarily have made that connection, but yeah. Well, good on you.
As I was saying, there was this podcast. I could think of another music piece that we could initiating outro.
Initiate outro.
Initiating intro.
I like it.
Initiating bridge.
I like it, but what do we do? What do we put in the middle? Like initiating
This
main
is
part.
the bridge. This is the bridge.
Best example.
Encoding overloaded.
Shit.
OBS just said encoding overloaded.
Did it
Consider
save
turning
your...
down video settings or using a faster encoding preset.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Okay, we better wrap it up soon.
Okay, should we wrap it up like now?
What was I talking about? Oh, creative. Wait, before.
Don't know.
Productivity.
Procrastination.
Wait, no. Something
Procrastination.
With a P. Creativity. Wait, the benefits of procrastination. Yes, I do remember that. So I'll just link the podcast and you can listen to it yourself. It's really interesting. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up because my laptop is about to die, and we were actually not sure how long we were gonna record for.
No. True.
And I feel like my video is about to be
killed.
Super bad. It's about to be dead.
It's about to die. But yeah, I mean, this was mainly just to give a brief insight of who's actually behind Barefeet and Hats, and that we are also just...
And a little bit of a personality...
Yeah, note to it. And that we're also just two normal human beings.
That do nothing all day long.
Yeah, that's also an idea. We could also show how, in terms of hardware, what we use to make...
Oh, we were supposed to talk about that as well, hey?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, scratch it. We'll do it in the next one. I'm still struggling with this concept of not swearing.
Okay, well, thank you so much for lasting this long in the video. I hope you haven't fallen asleep yet, but if you have, I'm so happy for you because I struggle with insomnia. So...
Well, I don't, but thank you anyway.